Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to now be doing the best case scenario for Joe Biden in the 2024 general election. The last video I made was the best case scenario for Donald Trump in the 2024 general election. This is going to be a hypothetical matchup against Donald Trump, who, for all intents and purposes, will be the nominee of the Republican Party. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying Nikki Haley is catching up to Donald Trump, especially in New Hampshire. Let's, you know, let's get rid of that idea. That's not Nikki Haley's not going to be the Republican nominee for president. Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. So this is just assuming the best case scenario for Biden versus Trump, not assuming DeSantis is the nominee. This is a best case scenario against Trump, who is the, in my mind, the projected nominee at this point, or the presumptive Republican nominee. But anyway, yeah, let's get into our safe Biden states. Now, last time, as you know, when I made the best case scenario for Donald Trump, a lot of the safe Biden states were likely, like New York was likely for Biden. This time, it's going to be safe for Biden. I'd also like to mention that for people that are saying, or some people that believe that Donald Trump at this point in time is guaranteed to win the election, I think that is also inaccurate. I'm going to put Colorado as a safe Biden state, by the way. I think Joe Biden is still Joe Biden still has a very solid chance at winning re-election. I know a lot of people like to look at the approval ratings and disapproval ratings of the presidents that won re-election compared to the ones that didn't, and Joe Biden's even lower than Jimmy Carter was when Jimmy Carter and Donald Trump were the lowest of the totem pole, and George H.W. Bush, Biden's even below them. But when you look on obviously Clinton and Obama and George W. Bush and Reagan were all above them. They can use those statistics. They use the current polling statistics where Donald Trump is generally up in almost all of the swing states and in the general election. This doesn't mean that the election is set in stone. Joe Biden can certainly turn things around in 11 months. And even if the election were held today, Joe Biden could certainly win the election. Ultimately, he just needs to carry the Rust Belt. He needs to carry Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If he wins those three states, it becomes incredibly hard for Donald Trump to beat him, because Donald Trump would have to win Nevada and New Hampshire, essentially, if he wanted to beat Joe Biden at that point. So, to believe that, and Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania are very, very close states at the moment, and very likely could go to Joe Biden. Now, in my, overall election prediction, I had them going to Trump, but it doesn't mean that they couldn't go to Joe Biden. But anyway, let's get into the safe Trump states. The safe Trump states, will be these usual states that you expect. I'm going to include Ohio and Iowa as the usual safe Trump states. I just don't believe that Biden really has a chance, even in best case scenario for him, at even making those states competitive at this point. Trump has, in the past two election cycles, proven and established the fact that he's dominant in Ohio and in Iowa. Previously, you go back to 2012, they were certainly considered toss-up states. Obama won them, and then Trump won them in 2016, and then since then, Trump's been very dominant, including in Maine second. That he, I believe, has almost won by double digits in in both of the elections. Headed into likely Biden states. This will be the state of Minnesota. Joe Biden would win this by more than 5 points. This in my mind is definitely considered a likely Biden state. This is also Maine at large, as well as New Hampshire, as well as Virginia and New Mexico, getting Biden to 225 electoral votes. Virginia, at the moment, of course, it's looking like it's going to be a Democrat state regardless. You can look at that lean category. It's going to be very hard for Donald Trump to get it in there. Biden likely would win it by a likely margin. The only thing is that Glenn Youngkin has slightly shifted Virginia back to a Republican state. Now that it's not a Republican state, but it's become less of a Democrat state, if you want to describe it like that. Regardless, Biden still is relatively popular in the suburbs, especially among suburban women going up against Donald Trump. This is assuming suburban women really come out in favor of Joe Biden. When you look at Minnesota, Biden is still polling fairly well in Minnesota compared to the other three Rust Belt states, and that's his strongest state. And the Democrats haven't lost Minnesota since, I believe, Richard Nixon won it around 40 years ago. So Minnesota is a very, very historically blue state. Likely Trump states, this would be the state of Texas, and then this would be the state of Florida. I still see Donald Trump winning Florida by a likely margin. You look at Hispanic trends, especially among Puerto Ricans and Cubans that predominantly make up a lot of the Miami-Dade County in Florida, and a lot of just general demographics in Florida. shifting in favor of Donald Trump, and Ron DeSantis won Florida by 20 points. It's hard to see Donald Trump losing the state and probably winning it by over 5 points, regardless in the 2024 elections. Anyway, let's head into our lean Biden states. I see Nebraska 2nd Congressional District leaning in favor of Joe Biden at this point. I also see the state of Michigan leaning in favor of Joe Biden at this point. Those are going to be the only lean Biden states. Headed into lean Trump states, North Carolina would be the one and only lean state in favor of Donald Trump, getting him to 235 electoral votes. He still is polling fairly well in North Carolina, and I do think that Joe Biden would have a hard time winning, even though Mike Pence isn't on the ballot, and Mike Pence did help him get a lot of evangelical votes and supports. I still think Trump would hang on to North Carolina at this point. Looking at the tilt Biden states, give Biden the state of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. And as you can see, Joe Biden wins the election, 270 electoral votes. He just needs to win those 3 states, and he's reelected president of the United States. In a best case scenario, he would hang on to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which are very much looking very competitive. It's there are polls that have Biden up 1 point. There are polls that have Trump up 1 point. There are polls that have it as a tie. So Biden very likely could win those states, and in a best case scenario, he absolutely would. So you can see Michigan as being slightly more of a Democrat state, and this is what we saw in 2020, where Biden won Michigan by over 2 points. He won Pennsylvania by about a point to a point and a half, I think, and then Wisconsin by less than a point. So Michigan is probably the strongest blue, although he's losing some Muslim support. This would assume that he gains it back. He's calling now for a ceasefire. I believe he's calling for a ceasefire. He's trying to promote that idea. Regardless of your view on that, definitely that would help him gain back some of that Muslim support that was lost in Michigan and Detroit. That is crucial for him winning the state. So if he's able to turn that around, he would win Michigan by a lean margin in a best case scenario. Heading into our tilt Trump states, I think that Georgia would still tilt in favor of Donald Trump. I mean, Georgia, you look at the polling data right now, is heavily favoring Trump. And I don't think that Biden would focus the majority of his campaign there. At the moment, Biden really just needs to win the Rust Belt states. As I said, Trump could win those southern states, and you look at the Hispanic shift and even the shift in some African American communities that are not like significantly, but slightly, ever so slightly shifting in favor of Trump. Not in favor of Trump, but toward Trump. So previously, Trump would get 10% black support. Now he's getting, say, 15% to Joe Biden's 85%. That shifts those southern states ever so slightly. So Georgia would still tilt in favor of Trump. I still think that Biden would tilt the state of Nevada and Arizona in his favor, getting him to 287 electoral votes. Now, this is my best case scenario election prediction for Joe Biden. Biden, of course, wins the presidency in a best case scenario. Now keep in mind that this is a best case scenario for the people that are watching the video and saying, what the hell is he doing? How could he predict Joe Biden winning this election? This is the best case scenario for Joe Biden at this point in time. In winning the election, I still think he'd win Arizona and Nevada, which he did both do in 2020. The only state that he would flip back is Georgia, and Biden would hang on to the Rust Belt. Those are the 3 crucial states he needs: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, giving him re-election to the presidency. Yes, this is a best case scenario. I'm reiterating it again, just so everyone understands. Not my actual election prediction of best case scenario. As I said the previous video, although it did mirror my election prediction, the margins were best case scenario margins for each state. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's get us to 1,000 subscribers. We are really getting close at 808 subscribers, so 192 away. So if you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, and of course, comment below your thoughts on my Biden best case scenario prediction. And what do you think Biden would win in a best case scenario? Do you think he'd win Georgia? Do you think he'd have a shot at North Carolina and Florida as well? Or do you think that this prediction is overestimating his chances or accurately? Anyway, thank you for watching and have a good day. I'll see you all soon.